question for you. How can storytelling help you on Instagram? Not a popular question by any means, but it's one that we plan to answer today, depending on our topic that you guys are here for. And I know that you guys are interested to learn a lot more all about how to get your views increased on Instagram. Well, we're going to be discussing that in a very particular way. We're talking about storytelling. Now, let me explain. Storytelling is going to be the concept when we find in our daily lives from everywhere, from the latest binge that we're doing on Netflix to the way we share memory with friends and family. It's a natural part of our communication with others, and now that extends to social media. But let's talk about how we can utilize storytelling to help increase our views, engagement, and reach on Instagram. Today, we are joined by award-winning writer and creative entrepreneur Dr. Sheena Howard to help you discover the importance of storytelling on Instagram and some of the platform's tools and features to help you enhance it. So let's get into it today as we help you step your gram up on the latest episode of the Social Roundtable. Welcome, ladies. How are you both doing today? Our guests and my co-host Megan and Dr. Sheena. What's going on, ladies?
Hi, happy to be here.
Awesome. I'm glad. Happy Monday to those of you guys that are joining us on the live on YouTube. I see a few of you guys are in the chat, as well as our moderator. Big up to IG Live with Angela. She's in the live chat. So please show a little bit of love and respect to her as well. She has full authority. I say this every week, full authority to take care and manage the people in the live chat if they are not keeping the vibes positive. We are doing nothing but positive vibes here on the live chat. So please, let's keep it cordial, respect each other, and we want to keep the communication going. So please, as Angela has stated here, Dr. Sheena is here and welcome. Yes, she is. I hope that you guys are doing well today. We have a great topic to get into as always, and I'm so glad that we have Dr. Sheena joining us to discuss more about this. We're going to do a little bit of introductions in a moment, but just to remind you guys, what you guys are watching. This is the Social Roundtable, your weekly live series on YouTube, where my co host Megan and myself are usually joined by one or two guests in the world of social media, content creation, digital marketing, and more. And it's all to discuss the topics you want to know more about. And today we're talking about storytelling. And it's all related to content creation. The title: Boost Your Instagram Views with 5 storytelling tips. And we are joined by the Dr. Sheena Howard. If you could take a moment, Sheena, to introduce yourself, let the people know what you do and why it is that you love what you do.
So, I'm a writer and a creative entrepreneur. I'm also a professor, but just in terms of like credibility, I've written for Marvel Comics, DC Comics. I wrote a stage play for DMC from Run DMC, as well as his latest graphic novel. He actually has a graphic novel called DMC. So I'm a writer. I'm always working on my craft, storytelling, and yeah, I've had a book that was a clue on Jeopardy. I got a lot of writing credits. So basically everything I do, it stems from writing, right? How are the many different ways I can monetize my talent is what I'm doing.
I love that. And first off, how many people do you get to meet that actually say, I was a clue on
Not
Jeopardy?
many,
That's
baby.
awesome. That's awesome. I love that idea of just going and leading with that. I got her page on the screen right now. Hopefully it's showing. This is her Instagram page. If you guys are interested to actually learn more about Dr. Sheena Howard and follow her, her link is in the description right now of this YouTube live. So make sure you go ahead and check her out there. She has some great content, not just on Instagram, Sheena, follow you, but also on Threads. You are also very active on Threads. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. But welcome to the Social Roundtable. We're so glad to have you, as well as my weekly co-host today, Megan. Social Media with Meg. Let the people know who you are and what it is that you do as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sheena, for being here with us and everybody here watching live and replay. Grateful for you all. Today's going to be really juicy. And I'm excited to learn a lot. So, diving on in. But my name is Megan from Social Media with Meg, and I'm your go to Instagram expert and content coach, where I really help creators and businesses create content that attracts and converts their ideal people so they can reduce their stress load and avoid the burnout, have fun creating content so they can monetize and make social media a place that brings them joy and income.
Those two words are, we need more of those in our lives, right? Joy and income.
We
I'm
do.
with that.
Thanks.
I'm with that very much. So welcome once again, Dr. Sheena Howard. Welcome also, of course, my co-host Megan, and welcome you guys that are joining us on this episode of the Social Roundtable. Once again, we are discussing how to boost your Instagram views using storytelling. For those of you that don't know who I am Heston of Social Varsity. I like to say the person that is always trying to help you work smarter and not harder on Instagram by utilizing DM automation. I apologize if the views is going crazy right now. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Maybe it's just my screen. But nonetheless, I like to help brands and businesses work smarter, not harder, utilizing DM automation and just, chat marketing so that you don't always have to be in the DMs wasting time. You can have your chat bot take care of some of those things that you need to get taken care of. So if you're interested in that, please check out my page as well. All of our pages are available in the description on the link in the links in the bottom, as well as our moderator IG Live with Angela. You can find her as well on the screen. But today we're going to be discussing, like I stated, storytelling tips to utilize on ManyChat. I'm sorry, on Instagram. And yeah, I'm all over the place right now. We're gonna be talking about storytelling tips on how to utilize them on Instagram to boost your views. And when we do that, we're gonna have a full conversation. I got a couple questions for Sheena and Megan. We're gonna get into our full conversation discussion, sharing how we utilize it on our own, as well as save time for a Q&A that you guys can send in your questions in the live chat. The live chat right now, you can go ahead. I see there's a few people in there. We have James in there as well right now. Go ahead and start talking. We have Angela there, but go ahead and post your questions as well. And I even have a poll there for you guys at the moment. If you guys want to know what the poll is, you can see it in the live chat. The question is, which do you prefer to post to Instagram? Images or video? Go ahead and post your answers there. We'll probably get back to it at the end of our conversation. But let's get into that conversation right now, ladies. If you guys are ready. Like I
Yes.
said, I have two questions. We're going to try to keep it nice and fun here, but we're going to be learning quite a bit. So my first question is going to be to you, Megan, in regards to the idea of good storytelling on Instagram. I want to know, how does storytelling help improve Instagram reels and post views from your point of view?
I mean, this is a pretty loaded question, but the reality of it is actually quite simple.
Oh, Megan, where'd Megan go?
Did we lose Megan? I still see
Yes.
her.
Okay, I don't see her. Okay, okay, cool.
Okay, now I don't. Did we lose Megan?
That joint, it was like, psh,
Oh man, I'm sorry about that, people. It looked like we may have lost Megan. We're gonna try to get her back. She's
yeah,
gonna jump back onto the live. Um, Sheena, if you don't mind answering that same question, I'll repeat it once more for
yeah.
those that are just not joining in. The question that I have is all about good storytelling on Instagram. How does storytelling help improve Instagram Reels and post views?
I mean, one thing that's tried and true that people like are stories, right? And so it's already something that we know works, not just in the social media world, but just in life, right? You tell a good story, people will tell it for generations, right? Like the Bible has a bunch of stories, and we repeat them, right? So it's only natural to use storytelling to increase your views on social media because it works. Now I know we'll get into how to do that well. But it's
Hmm.
it's it's our brain literally lights up when people tell a story. That's what TED Talks are all about. Right? Why do you think there's so many stories when people do a TED Talk? So I have a TEDx talk too. It's because that's what drives people and moves people, and that's what people remember.
Hmm. I love the way that you put that because when I think of storytelling, I think of like the caveman that used to be putting all the pictures up on the walls with the pictograms, and they're literally telling stories. It could be about that day. For all we know, those were tweets back in the day. The guy's just talking about what he did, what he ate that day. He put it up on a picture on the rock.
Hmm.
That is storytelling, and it's so important nowadays. Like I said earlier, we see it everywhere. We see it, in our latest binge on Netflix or Hulu and Disney Plus. We see it in the comic books and newspapers that we read. We see it all the time on advertisements. I mean,
Hmm.
the best ads are the ones that tell great stories, and sometimes you don't even know it's an ad. Like
Mm-hmm.
they just
Exactly.
get to that point, and it's so well done.
Yep.
Um, I love your point of view in regards to that. Unfortunately, Megan, we were kind of cut off, so we didn't get to hear your exact answer. But I do have time for you, so go ahead, and if you can, go ahead and share your answer in regards to the same question. I'll recite it one more time for those that are just not joining in. We're talking about storytelling on Instagram, and the question is right now: how does storytelling help improve Instagram Reels and post views?
Awesome. Okay. Well, sorry about that. I didn't get to hear all of Sheena's answer. I just heard the tail end there too. So hopefully I don't repeat. And also, I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch because I want to know from the expert here. But the basic human psychology is what I was starting to say here of how we connect through stories. We see things from, pictures help us actually put things together. So we reading, if you read a really good piece of writing, you're still visualizing it, right? So having a good story allows us to clearly visualize that. And like you had just mentioned, Heston, the best ads tell us that story in a really short time. So think reels are short, even though they're allowed to be 3 minutes now, like they're still pretty short. And if the winner when it comes to a successful reel is the one that can tell that really clear story in a concise way and allow the viewer to see themselves in that story. So we like to see ourselves there in order to know if this is worth our time and attention.
Yeah, that's a really great point in regards to the limitation, I guess you could say, of reels with the 3 minutes. Even though they just extended it, it was half of that just a couple months ago, and now it's 3 minutes. Who's to say what they might be in the next 3 months? They might be even longer. But
Mm.
can you tell a fulfilling and captivating story in 180 seconds or less? And we've all seen it. It's been done. And sometimes even in much shorter amount of time. I've seen ads that I remember to this day, and some of them might be Super Bowl ads, and they're like 15 seconds. You know, they cost like $3 million, but they are award-winning story ads. When I tell you that you remember them for years. I mean, we all remember like the Dorito ads and some of the Pepsi flavor ads. I mean, we talk about it not just for the next day after the Super Bowl or whenever we've seen these ads, but we talk about it, as you said, for generations on, for years on. It just continues going on. And that's how stories can be utilized on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
I want to kind of talk a little bit more in particular the actual features related to Instagram and how it actually can benefit. Because how I look at it with storytelling, with good storytelling, you create good content.
Mm-hmm.
And that's at the end of the day what we all want. Because if we get bad content, if we're creating bad content, believe me, the algorithm and the audience is gonna let the people is gonna let you know, because you're not gonna get the views, you're not gonna get the engagement. But when you have that good content, it's gonna work in your favor. With reels, good content leads to increased watch time and shares. I mean, how many of us are always sending the funniest DMs that we've seen to our friends and family? I I do it when my wife is in the same room with me. I could literally just get up and show it to her on the phone, but no, I will send it to her in the DM. I'm like, yo, you have to see this. And it's great with reels. With carousels, it's similar but kind of different KPIs. You now have more focused a little bit on getting more likes and comments. Carousels and single images are a little bit more engaging for the audience because they kind of create more of a nurturing aspect in
Mm-hmm.
regards to the audience that is viewing it. Whereas reels, it's more non-followers that come across your reels for the
Mm-hmm.
most part. So they're more likely to engage with it in shares and watch time. But all of this adds up to it being received well by the algorithm. And what ends up happening is, because of these type of algorithm, these type of engagements, the algorithm looks at it and says, okay, the people are enjoying it, so let's show it to more people. If your content is shown to 100 people and 50% of them like it, the algorithm is going to say 50% of the people that was shown to this liked it. That's good content. Let's show it to 200 more people and see if the algorithm, see if it still works the same way. And if it does, it just continues that cycle. So that's one of the benefits towards creating good content, and how it helps influence your views, whether it's reels and several other post types on Instagram. I saw a question here from James, but how to be effective on the storytelling. We're going to kind of get a little bit into that in regards to our next question in a moment. I want to kind of go back to Megan. We like to kind of ask our audience questions in regards to the content that we're talking about, our specific topic. And Megan, I'm curious if you had a particular question that you want to ask our live audience right now.
Yeah, definitely. So I know it's funny that you asked the poll that you did because that's actually a little hint here, similar to one that I'm going to be doing in our game. So continuing on there, um, interested from everybody in the audience because we all consume content differently and we all like different types of content. Everyone in the audience, do you enjoy consuming carousels and single images more,
Mm.
or do you enjoy consuming reels more? And I'm actually kind of interested, you guys on screen too. What do you guys like best?
In terms of consuming, I only like a carousel if it's a good, if it's a good, if it's engaging. Otherwise, I'm not swiping. I'm not swiping through. That's where, I mean, it's just, nobody has time to read all those words. Um, but I think reels come up on my feed more. I think more people
Um,
use reels, because carousels can take longer and require a different skill set, which is very good writing if you want to do it well, and not everybody can do that.
hmm, that's valid. Yes. Heston, how about you?
I love the fact that you said that because I like a challenge, and that's exactly why I started doing more carousels this month. I kid you not, I literally started doing more carousels this month. And today's the first day I was supposed to post a reel, and I said, you know what? I'm not posting a reel. I'm only posting carousels
Hmm.
this week. I
Love it.
absolutely agree with you. I think carousels is as an underrated skill in regards to the way that you tell a story. It could be a lot of words, it could be a little bit of words. That's where you have to find your, I guess, your finesse in a way in regards to how you're going to tell a story. I'm actually challenging myself to do. I used 150 characters because it's related to Twitter, I believe. 140 characters, and my goal is to only use 140 characters for the majority of the slides in the carousel to inform my audience of a particular lesson.
Hmm.
And what I've noticed is people scroll through it faster and grasp it better. And now they're more likely to engage because they received it stronger. Like I might have one slide that has a lot of content, but it's more at the
Yep.
end. But by the time they got to the end, they're already invested.
Yep.
So I like the same way I'm describing doing that. I like that when I get that myself.
Hmm.
Because nowadays I just like you, Sheena, I come across a lot of reels. And I gotta admit, by the end of the day, I've seen so many reels, I don't remember them all.
It's getting
But if
boring.
you
Yeah.
ask me like some
Mhm.
of the carousels that I went through, I might be able to go back and say, "Oh, you got to check out this slide on this carousel when they did this." I
Hmm.
remember it more. It's more longer lasting. So yeah, I see a few people. Do you see them too, Megan? The ones that I answered?
See, we have I'm a real consumer from James, so
I
more
like that, James.
reels, definitely. For real, I'll stop. I see you there. Yeah, and some desire for help with carousels from Laura. So we definitely will talk a little bit more about that in this next question that you have, Heston.
Yes. And as Megan kind of teased, we will be playing a little trivia game, not just with you guys in the audience, but with our guest, Sheena. I'm going to play a little trivia game. So Megan will be leading that after the last question. We'll also take a moment for Q&A. If you guys have questions in the live chat, please go ahead at that moment. I'll let you know when we are taking questions. You'll post them in the live chat and we'll try to answer them to the best of our ability. As well as I have to remind you guys, this is YouTube. So if you're enjoying the content, if you're liking what you're getting from myself, Megan, and Sheena, there's much more of it. If you actually go in the link description, if you go in the description and check out the links, you can follow all of us. I have all of our respective channels and Instagram links there, so you can follow us on both platforms and join our communities to get so much more content from all three of us. And if you can, please like and subscribe to this video so you could join our channel. You can get more of this every week from myself and Megan when we feature new guests every week on the Social Roundtable. We definitely appreciate that from all of you. So thank you very much for watching as we continue on to the next question. We are going to be sharing a few tips in regards to some of the ideas that you guys, some of the questions you guys have been asking, particularly around storytelling. So I'm going to lead off with you first. We're going to have a different format to this, just to kind of explain to those that are watching. We're going to share 5 tips. Sheena has 2. Megan is going to have two. I'll have one. I'll put myself in the middle. We're going to kind of go back and forth across tips. I hope that you guys have your notebooks ready because we're going to be sharing a lot of valuable information right now in regards to the idea of using useful IG features for storytelling. So, Sheena, I'm going to go to you first. I hope you don't mind in regards to this question.
So, so the first thing I'll say is let's talk about carousels specifically, and memes too, because memes, if you use a storytelling framework, a meme is a story, right?
True.
So the first thing is it's not about any tool; it's about learning effective storytelling. Is studying it like anything else. Is putting in your 10,000 hours like anything else. Like everybody can write, but not everybody can get you to swipe through 10 carousels. And the reason why I can do it consistently is because I've obsessively studied storytelling for 10 plus years and even doubled down in the last like 6 years. So it part of it is it's like an art, but it's also a science, and the best place to start is what you mentioned, Heston, is to just do it. The great thing about social media is you get immediate feedback. You know if your story sucked right in the first 10 minutes. That's good. And so instead of
You
getting
say it's
discouraged,
good. You say it's good
yeah.
now. That's if it's good content.
Well, if it sucks, you get immediate feedback, and that's feedback for you to be like, okay, well, all right, let me tweak this
That's
first line
true.
and post it again. All right, let me right. You learn. Um, so couple things when you're telling a story, really is three elements, right? You have to show a transformation. You got to show me A, you started at A and you went to B. You could do this in a meme, you could do this in the carousel, but I got to see you grew. It has to be transformation. Second, you got to be vulnerable. That's where people get to relate to you, right? You can't, and it has to be real vulnerabilities. You have to show what you needed to change about yourself or that thing or your perspective to get to the transformation, right? And then the lesson, it has to be lessons there for the people reading it. So the story you're telling is not for you, it's for the people on the other end. So it has to be insights and lessons. In terms of like straight tools, I use Canva. I got about 500 carousels saved in Canva and I could just repost them. I know that they'll do well. And the good thing about Canva is once you start getting good at the carousels and the memes, people will recognize your carousels. So they can see it and be, oh,
Hmm.
yeah, that's Dr. Howard. Like, oh, the black background, the white text, the specific font, right? You don't even have to put your logo on it. So
Yeah.
use Canva and just practice and post. And you gotta study stories. I can't stress this enough. Like you got to study it like anything else.
I, people are afraid of studying because that involves work.
Oh,
But work leads you to excellence. If you are wanting to master your craft, you have to put in the work. You know, I remind it remind me of that as we were just talking about Philly. It remind me of that famous line from Allen Iverson. Practice,
yeah.
practice. You talking practice? But listen, practice will get you far. Practice will have you, you know, I mean, we even have trial reels now. That's literally practice.
Yeah.
They want you to practice putting out video content so that you could get better, so that and let's just call it what it is. They want you to create better content so that they can make more money. Because if you create better content, you get people to stay on Instagram longer and they
Mhm.
see more ads, more
Mhm.
money for Instagram, more views for you, right?
Yeah.
But it all leads back to good content. And as you're saying, if you study your craft in regards to storytelling, which you could apply in multiple places on Instagram, you'll very, very much exceed. I love the way that you kind of put that there, Sheena.
Yeah.
Um, Megan, how about you? We're going to go to your first one.
It's really interesting that you went along those lines, Sheena. Chris, we never share our answers beforehand. We just, have come with a tip. So I actually had something very similar, trying to tie in how to actually use an Instagram feature in order to study is start using the folders to save specific pieces of content
Oh
and
yeah.
organize them. And then don't forget about them, go back to them and say, why did this capture my attention? And try to depict what parts of the story really kept you hooked. What in terms of storytelling, you kind of have to change your brain a little bit, the thought process, instead of just mindlessly consuming. Be cautious, be aware, understand why you're consuming it, and kind of take that outsider perspective. But if you start to actually save these posts that you just found really intriguing, maybe it's not something you found necessarily helpful, maybe it's not something that you necessarily care to learn more about, like it could be a random topic, but some reason it captured your attention and it kept your attention. Why? Study it. And so use Instagram save folders, organize them, and then even from there you could take that piece of content and use a tool like ChatGPT to then ask it, okay, what is it about this post that has the storytelling aspect, and how can I apply that to my niche, my audience, my voice, and my messaging?
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the fact that you put that reminder there. Remember to go to your save folders. Cause let's be real, we be saving all of these content, all these reels, all these posts, and it's like it just collect dust
Guilty.
when it goes in the save folder. So I love the fact that you said go back to it because
Yeah.
we know how it could get. I've looked at some photos before and I'm like, what was I thinking when I saved this? And how long ago was it? But yes, definitely. Um, I see a few people got some questions. I do want to take this question. Um, I'm going to ask this very quickly to you guys, and then we're going to jump back to this main topic. From James, he's asking, do you think having yourself telling the story is more impactful? I'm going to go to you since you just answered that question. Megan, if you go, and then Sheena, you can follow up with your idea in regards to this. I'll repeat it again. James wants to know, do you think having yourself telling the story is more impactful?
I think I understand the question. Like, if this is my Instagram, if I'm the one telling it, I mean, for sure, if you have that personal brand, then people come to you because they already know, like, and trust you. But there's definitely powerful ways to have different characters or different, um, like, mascots within your brand that can be telling it, as long as that point of view, that person or mascot that's telling it has a connection to the person that you want to view it, right? So they can see each other in that story somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It is almost always going to be more impactful if you're telling your own story, but you're going to use the same storytelling techniques to like tell the story of one of your successful clients, right? They started from A, they went to
Hmm.
B, this is what they struggled with, this is what they implemented, these are the insights. You can make a sale that way. So I did a course for a client on storytelling and sales for small businesses, and it was all about that, using the case studies and stories, using these effective tried and true things to show people your client stories. But um it's always going to be easier to tell your own story.
Right.
Yeah, and I think honestly, when you think about it, people are following you for you, so they want to
Exactly.
hear from you. And that's why I have a little bit of a hesitation in regards to the use of chatbots and AI sometimes, in regards to impersonating you when you're faking it, in
Mhm.
regards to chatbots, or using AI to substitute you to
Mhm.
tell these stories. And I feel like there's that distinction between the audience where they say, because I think there's this new feature on Instagram where you can create an AI version of you that responds in the DMs.
Mhm.
And we discussed this a few weeks back, Megan, in regards to this. And I was like, you know what? I'm thinking of some of the celebrities I follow. And I was like, honestly, I rather, just to say it's Will Smith, I rather DM Will Smith and I don't get a response
Right.
than get a response from his DM, from
Yeah.
his chatbot DM, AI DM, pretending to be him. And it causes a distraction. I'm like, should I even still continue following him if that's the case? I get this pretense image of him
Yeah.
because I don't get to choose story from him. But I don't, to each their own in a way, I guess. I definitely agree with you guys. I think it's more powerful if it comes from you directly. That first person point of view aspect is really key when you're talking about experience and insight, and just nobody could tell. I mean, all three of us could go through the same exact experience and tell the story differently
Yeah.
because we had different backgrounds and the way that we viewed it. So I think that's really, really key and important. Um, thank
Mm.
you. James says appreciates that. Solid advice, Meg. So thank you, ladies, for jumping on to that quick question. I'm going to share my answer in regards to the question. For those of you guys that are just now jumping in and wondering what we are talking about, we are discussing how to boost your views on Instagram with storytelling tips. We have the incredible Dr. Sheena Howard joining us, as well as my incredible co host, Megan, and we're discussing this right now. The question is, what Instagram tools or features do you suggest to use that'll enhance storytelling and views? I want to jump in and share. It's a little bit of a cheat because it's not a specific feature, but it's more of a concept of using audio. I think audio can be very key when telling a story because sometimes when we think of telling a story, it can be just strictly visual. You know, even when movies first came out, there was no sound on movies back in the day in the 20s and 30s. It was just all visual. Just imagine that. You know, it was almost like somebody just hit the mute button, but that was actually how it was. So I think using audio as a secondary aspect to the story, particularly on Instagram, and I say secondary because Instagram is a visual first platform. Whether it's video, whether it's image, it is visual first. But if you're able to add audio, you start to enhance the storytelling because you're now telling the viewers to use more senses. And I always
Mhm.
believe when you tell people to use more senses, they're more engaged to the content that you're presenting to them. If you tell somebody a story that takes part, remember when we were kids and they used to tell us stories and they would act it out with the voices, they would go around and start doing emotions in school, and you're listening to the storytelling, those kids thought they were in that world when they were telling stories
Mhm.
because they're using all of these multiple senses and they're now super engaged to the content. But we could do the same thing on Instagram, and using audio, I think, is really key. So I have a
Yeah.
few examples. Reels and carousels, use those voices, those voice audio, sound effects, and of course, we always talking about trending audio. It gets to the point sometimes where I get sick of the trending audio. There's that one right now about oh gosh, I don't even want to bring it up because I've been hearing it like everywhere. I think you guys know if I start
It'll
singing it,
get
you're
it
gonna know
stuck in
which
our
trending
head.
song it is. Oh my gosh. But it works. It
Right.
works because as soon as I hear it, I know exactly who the artist is. I've seen it everywhere and I'm captivated by it. Even though if you use it too much, it can work against you.
Mhm.
With carousels, you now are able to add in audio as well. I will suggest make sure you really specifically choose the type of audio you are tying together with the storytelling of the carousel. You don't want it to come off too strong.
Mhm.
And it has to work with the message. You know, if your message is, you know, I see someone, I forgot who it was. I think it was Laura in the live chat. I think she shares Christian content. Well, I'm not sharing that with the latest Eminem song. You know,
Yeah.
the
Right.
messages just don't work. You feel me? So you got to make sure you choose the audio really well in regards to how you're tying it with the message of the story. And I think another underrated feature on Instagram that people don't utilize, and I think they really should, is voice messages in the DMs.
Oh,
Whether you're
yeah.
on a
Mm.
broadcast channel or just a regular DM, voice messages are powerful. Sometimes I specialize in chatbots, right? So people think sometimes most of my sponsors are the chatbot, and they go crazy when they realize it's not because I send them a voice message and they're like, "Oh, I thought it was your chatbot." I'm like, "No, this is the real deal. This is me right here." And then they feel more engaged and they're talking to me. We go back and forth,
Mhm.
and they're more in sync with learning who I am. They learn my speaking cadence. I stutter.
Mm.
Oh well, we might be able to relate on that. But they learn a little bit more, and they're now engaged in regards to learning a little bit more about me. And majority of the time, those people actually send voice messages back. It's
Mhm.
crazy. So I love that aspect of using audio on Instagram to enhance the storytelling.
For sure.
So that was my answer to that one. And I'm sure that you guys have shared audio in different ways on Instagram as well. A quick question for those in the live chat: if you use any of those audio ideas, whether it's trending audio, you send voice messages, whatever, just put a quick thumbs up in the chat. I want to see how many people are using audio on Instagram in any form of way. As we now move back to Megan to share her second tip in regards to this question.
Funny aside is actually, we always have our group messages when we have guests on the show before. And this morning, I get up in the morning. I'm an excited person in the morning. I am a morning person. And I almost sent a voice memo at 5 a.m. And I was like, Meg, just reel it back. You can text something. Like, so I really love voice memos. Good call there, Heston. I was like, I'm coming off a little strong to start the day, but if you guys have ever DM'd me, I probably am voice memoing. Love them. So my second feature here would actually be something that if you're not using an external tool like Adobe or Canva or whatever to create your carousels or your images, to use the native text on screen or like the text editing you can add to your post now and your reels to just add a little more context to that storyline with whatever post that you're making. Even if it's a carousel with images, you can use text now inside of Instagram, the app itself. You can just, there's a little like A button at the bottom of the photos when you're editing it, and you can add text right onto it to just give it a little more context. So definitely adding a little bit extra text, not just in the captions, but on the imagery and the reels themselves.
Hmm.
That's a recent feature, probably like a few months old, right, Megan? That I see a lot of people utilizing it actually very strategically because they'll create like the entire deck, I guess you could say, and they'll just copy and paste it from whatever notepad and then put it into Instagram that way instead of putting it into Canva directly. And I think the reason why they do that, I have a feeling it might be more SEO purpose reason
Mm.
because the words that they're copying and pasting, Instagram knows what they're putting in. So they could probably tie that in with keywords and say, all right, if this post, this carousel, they've used the word social media manager. So I know that's what it's about. Rather than if you put it in via Canva or any other type of application like that. That's what I believe that they're using it for. But I can't prove that, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Hmm.
totally.
By the way, we definitely got a couple thumbs up in the live chat for people that utilize audio. So I'm very glad to see a lot of people are using audio on Instagram. So it's not just visuals that we're using Instagram for, it is audio as well.
Hmm.
We're going to go to our last one right now. I just want to remind you guys this is the Social Roundtable, your weekly live series here on YouTube that Megan and I host for your entertainment, your information. And today we are joined by Dr. Sheena Howard. All of our links are in the description of this YouTube video that you are watching. Please go ahead and follow us and subscribe there. And if you can, please, once again, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you are interested to see more from us as well. Sheena, you got the last one. Take us home in regards to this question. For those that are just not joining in, once again, I remind you what the question is. What Instagram tools or features do you suggest to use that'll enhance storytelling and views?
I think people should also think about not what they're posting in isolation, but like their entire feed as a story. So the things that, so if I post something today, um the things that I posted before also do impact that story, both for new people coming to my page and for my existing audience, and it gives it context. So you can think about your last 10 pieces of content as one big story. And the reason why that's important is because something that Heston mentioned earlier. A lot of times people follow you because they want to be you. They follow you because they admire you. They like something about you. Something is resonating. And there's a really fine line between people wanting to be you and then people hating you. And so like storytelling is psychological, and what you got to think about it from a psychological perspective, right? If I spend a week just talking about all of the great things that are happening to me, I won this award, I just got this client, right? Now people are comparing themselves. They go from I want to be her to every time I
Hmm.
log on, she's doing something awesome and nothing like this is happening in my life. Unfollow, right? So you have to. So this is why when you share your story, telling them about the hard stuff you've been through, not I got this big thing today and I got 100,000 followers on YouTube, but telling them, yo, I remember when I had 10 followers on YouTube, now have 100,000. Here's what I did. It's
Yeah.
the psychology behind it. So think about your feed as one big story.
Oh, that is I haven't heard that type of tip in a minute. And that is really like stepping back and looking at your Instagram almost like a book.
Yes.
and you're writing chapters in this book in regards to the different formats,
Because
and
I
you're
can't
putting
I
together
can't
this one
root for you. I
story.
can't root for you if I think you haven't been through what I've been through. I can't.
Hmm.
That's
Neither
so
nobody
true.
you can't either. Like I gotta know that you're relatable.
That
That's
is
what the
all. I
story is
love that
about.
perspective. I
Hmm.
love that
Yeah.
perspective. Megan, I'm sorry, did I jump in? If you had something to share in regards to that, respond.
Just the really importance of bringing it back to those last like 10 posts or so that you pointed out there, Sheena, is like our Instagram, our social media is like a moving train. So we're like advertising to a moving audience, right? So even though you know you have your core people and yes, you have a strong community, you have people coming in all the time. So you've got to tell your story in little bits and pieces over and over and over. And it's never going to annoy the old people in your community because it actually reminds them, oh, yes, this is why I follow this person. I have like mentors that I have worked with or learn from now, and I hear like their coming up story and all of their trainings, and I still love them because it reminds me I'm going to take this advice, I'm going to continue to move forward. So I think what you pointed out there about really repeating it and making sure that it's those last 10 posts tell that story is just so important. So thank you for that.
You definitely inspired a few people in the live chat. Let's see if I can get this chat. You got James to say, my next title post, you follow me because you want to be me.
Well, you're gonna lose some followers if you say
Yeah.
that. Listen. This
I
stuff
love
goes
it.
really
That's
deep.
one.
Yeah.
Lucy jumped in and said, so true. Being relatable is the way for sure. Thank you very much for all of the chats and the comments, guys. I agree. I think that's something that we never really truly consider because we're so focused on the next post. We're so focused on, okay, what am I going to post next? How am I going to get some engagement? How am I going to get some followers? We don't think about it from the whole aspect, the whole perspective of everything together. What is it forming? What
Hmm.
story am I telling? And that's the
Exactly.
ultimate great way to look at storytelling on Instagram. I mean, what better way than to end this conversation here with that, guys? I think that was some great tips that we shared with you in regards to how to boost your views on Instagram using some of these storytelling tips and pair them together with Instagram features and tools that we have right now in our hands. And we just got to kind of look at it differently. So I hope that you guys take a lot of the tips that we shared here today. And as always, step your gram up in the best way possible. We're going to move over now to our trivia game that Megan is going to lead. If you are in the chat, get ready to share your answers as well. We're going to play on the screen as well. I have not seen the questions, Sheena, so I'm not cheating. No, all jokes aside, it's no right or wrong question. It's all just like opinion based, but we're going to have a little bit of fun now. So Megan, you have the mic. You can lead us into this game.
Awesome. All right. So, simple would you rather game. Going to give two options, and then I'll go around on the screen here as well as everybody in the chat to share which one you'd rather, either A or B. If you had to choose, okay? No cheating. You have to choose. So, the first one here, would you rather A, only be able to post written content for the rest of your life, or B, only be able to post video content for the rest of your life? I have a feeling I know the answers here, but not sure. Sheena
Oh,
first.
written content, of course.
That's oh, it
You would have
has to.
disappointed me if you said video. You would have
Right.
really
Like, what
disappointed
am
me if
I
you said
doing?
video. 'Cause I
Right.
was like, what?
I mean, surprised
What?
me, but
I'm really torn between this one. I'm mad that Megan said you can't choose because that's what I would have said. Because I'm like right in the middle. I
mm,
think I'm gonna go video. Um, I'm really starting to fall in love with writing again. I used to love writing back in the day, and I think I fell out in love with just being busy with tech and everything. And I'm more gravitated towards video. But I got to be honest, the audience right now is moving towards everything video. And if I had to choose one or the other, I would do video. I think it's because I'm a perfectionist when it comes to writing. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to video. I could escape more if I have flaws in my video. I
Hmm.
I don't want to do that with writing. So I'll end up
mm.
doing that.
Interesting way to look at it. Yeah, I mean, this is a hard one. You pointed out a lot of things there, Heston, because I think that if you have good writing, like there's nothing that connects more. Or like I
Hmm.
can instantly trust somebody and love somebody from like X or Threads, but it takes me a while if I'm watching video with them. like their writing hits me harder. So
Mhm.
Mm,
I think I'm gonna say writing, even though I like video more. I just think that you can really stand out when you have really good writing. So
Mhm.
thank you for that, guys. I see in the chat we have lots of videos, lots of video. James, Laura,
Greg did say
Greg.
writing.
Yeah.
Oh,
Greg said writing.
I have, okay. Hey, all
See,
right.
this is a good survey because
Yeah.
if you can be a good writer and write good carousels, you are going to stand out with everybody. Video, video, video. Awesome carousel.
Yes.
You're going to stand out. So it's worth the effort, yo. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah. And I don't know what it is. I instantly like want to binge their content more, even though it takes more energy to. It just when they captivate you, it captivates you. So thank you for that. We have one more. Would you rather A, work with a brand that you absolutely love, but they limit how creative you can be,
Oof.
or B, work with a brand that you like, don't necessarily love, and they take away that complete freedom of creativity.
Oh, B, hands down. I mean, you it's not even a brand deal if you limit my creativity because it's not going to do well.
Mm,
Um these listen, this is from personal experience. Companies want to sell stuff so they want their name mentioned. If you are a writer and you know how to get people through a 10 slide carousel so that you can get more traction or more sales, that's all creativity skill, storytelling, right? So no, please don't limit my creativity. I got this.
yes, I love that.
It's not
Awesome.
gonna be good. It's not
Mhm.
gonna be good.
Right. Doesn't feel good to you or your audience. So,
Yeah, this literally just happened to me. I'm like,
yep.
yo, you want to modify the carousel, but it's not a good idea. Mentioning your brand name on slide 3, people gonna swipe away immediately. I'm trying, but
Mm,
because they know it's a sale.
Yeah.
yeah.
Very good point. Yes,
This
Heston.
this one is hard for me. I'm gonna tell you why it's really hard for me, and it's interesting is because Sheena has actually worked with this company that I would love to
Really?
work for, and she's very closely related to the company. I'll give you an idea of who.
I
Oh
love
yeah.
it.
I wrote
I
Black Panther.
am I am a big fan of the character, and if you guys are not aware, Sheena is very involved with that character with her writing. So once again, check out her links. You will find out more about that. But I love Marvel. I'm not even gonna take down the rest of my pictures, but most of them are Marvel. I'm a big fan of that, and I would love to work with Marvel. I I, I think I might go that route, even if they limit me, because of the opportunity that hopefully
Well, that's
it
true.
opens up the door to something else greater. You know, because sometimes
That's true.
they might have to limit you because they don't know you yet. You know, they don't know what you're
That's
capable of,
true.
and then you go in there and you show improve. All right, you know what? We'll loosen the reins a little bit. So that's what I would hope.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's true. And I feel like I would actually have to say A too, just because I feel like I can communicate with the brand enough to be like, okay, I understand that, but how could I still balance some creativity? Like you said, Hassan, you've got the audio, the visual, the written. There's just a lot of moving parts when it comes to a good piece of content. And most brands are literally just worried about like the script. But it's like I could really add a lot of things that have like help advance the entire production in different
Right.
ways.
They
It's
gotta trust you though. Yeah.
yes,
That's the thing.
exactly.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. You're like,
Hmm.
if you don't mention our company name in slide 3, they might not get to slide 10. But it's not true. It's
Exactly. They're like, have you seen my
Yeah,
content? Everyone gets to slide 10.
everybody's gonna
yeah.
get to slide 10. Trust me.
Yes, yes. Well, awesome. Thank you, everybody, for playing along there. We had quite the mixture in the chat as well, so thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why I like these games because it's like I said, there's no right or wrong answer. And we always get to see different perspective in regards to how we would view, how we would go into these situations. Once again, we could always do it via great storytelling from different people's perspectives, and you learn a lot more. Who's someone that wrote this? James said Sheena for president of social media. All
Yeah,
right, now. So now you got
let's
now
go.
you
I got
got
a
to
new
start an
fan.
election.
Come on now. Look.
All right. So I just put in the live chat any questions for the Q&A. It is Q&A time. If you guys don't have any questions, no worries. I completely understand. But this is the time for you to ask any questions as we have Sheena here. We have Megan as well as myself. If you want to ask a question, a question or two before we sign off here, this is the time. I'll give you guys a few moments while we wait. If there's any questions, Sheena, I want to give you an opportunity to once again share where people can find you and if you have anything of interest that they should know about coming up.
Yeah, so I have a storytelling and creative entrepreneurship community, well, where you'll get all of my storytelling framework, storytelling practice. I can work with you one on one in Patreon. So patreon.com/slash Dr. Sheena Howard. And then everything else is at Dr. Sheena Howard if you want to find me on the platform that you vibe with most.
Nice. Well, I hope that you guys do take the opportunity to check that out. As I said, her link to her YouTube and Instagram is in the description of this video. So please go ahead and check that out, as well as Megan's channel and link is also channel link as well as her Instagram link is there as also. So if you want to share something to Megan where they can find you, anything else that you're up to that they should be aware of.
Definitely. Well, as always, you guys find me on Instagram, YouTube, Threads, and what's that other one? TikTok. Like what is
What's
that
that other
one?
one?
What's that one? Yeah, there sometimes too. You know.
Right.
It's still
And
there for
Oh, they're
now.
yeah,
there. No.
yeah, yeah. Right? Wait, is it?
Let me go
It
post
is.
over there.
I don't go there enough often, obviously. And just excited for what you guys are going to be seeing if you're watching us here live or any replays in the next month or so. Heston and I, lots of great episodes planned for you. So come and check those out.
Definitely got a lot for you guys. So once again, if you guys want to stay tuned for that, hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode as well. You will get notifications of whenever we go live. We did get one question from Greg. And it's an interesting question. Should there always be a laugh to people's stories?
A laugh.
A laugh, yeah. Um,
Okay. Like a happy
I'm
ending.
gonna yeah, I'm gonna say no. From my point of view, I'm gonna say no. Because as much as I would like to say yes, life isn't always happy. Sometimes there are moments in our lives where it is just sad things that occur. And I mentioned earlier that we normally remember some of the great commercials on Super Bowl where it made us laugh, and then we shared it immediately. Hey, did you see this one? But there's also a few commercials I remember that I'm not gonna kid you. They brought tears to my eyes due to the subject matter of what was discussed, whether it involves a child or an animal or something like that. And I think those honestly hit harder because it's harder to make somebody feel an emotion and connect like that than it is to make people laugh. Now, and I'm not saying it's not hard to make people laugh. We've seen some bad comedies. Believe me, I've seen a lot of bad comedies. So it's hard to make people laugh. But if you could connect with them on a deeper level emotionally where you could trigger something, not to say that you force them to cry, but they just connect deep that way. I think that's really great way of storytelling that they won't forget. That's what I think about it. How about you, ladies? Megan, do
It
you want to
it does.
go?
Yeah, it doesn't have to
Shana,
have a happy
Sheena.
ending. Um, it's as long as you're sharing the journey, because your journey and what you learned, people just need to learn from the story. As long as you're telling a good story, it doesn't have a happy ending. Listen, it took me a while to realize that Rocky did not win the last fight in the first movie. Like, I was like a whole like 30 years old. I was like, no, let me go back and rewatch because he definitely won that last fight. No, he did not win the
Did
fight,
he?
yo.
Okay.
So right, but it was a happy ending, and we learned from his journey, his struggle, and we rooted for him, and we learned lessons through watching his journey.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it's okay to have, even if you have a serious topic or, a more intense um, story, it's okay to have comic relief throughout when it makes sense, but not just added just because you think it should be there. Like a lot of the times, if I'm telling a story that has a lot of vulnerable or down points, I'll have a little bit in there, but that's just my personality of the way I'm talking and my sarcasm. But it's always rooted back into like that serious moment and making sure that it adds to the overall experience. It doesn't just randomly get thrown in there because you feel like it should. So definitely agree with what's been said, and it doesn't have to have any laughter or
Yeah.
comic relief in there if it doesn't fit.
Tell your sad stories, you'll get like 10,000 new followers. Like that I can guarantee. Tell your
That
sad
is true.
stories and you'll grow.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, ladies, for answering and taking part in this conversation. Today, we spoke about how to increase your Instagram views using storytelling tips and features native to Instagram to help boost those views for you guys. And I hope that you guys really got a lot of value and insight from our conversation today. Not just about that, but some of the other topics we shared in regards to our trivia, the question that we were just asked. Thank you very much for that question as well. And thank you very much to our incredible guest here today, Dr. Sheena Howard. Thank you. Hopefully, this will not be the last time you join us here on the Social Roundtable. We would definitely love to have you once again. It might not be storytelling, it might be another topic, or maybe we talk about storytelling in a different point of view. We'll figure that out. But thank you so much for joining us here on today's episode. To you guys in the audience, thank you very much. We appreciate you for joining us here today. We will catch you at the same time on Monday next week at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will chat with you then. Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye. I think we're still on. I don't know. My YouTube is acting kind of crazy. So if we're still on, welcome. This is behind. I'm just joking. Like this is when the
Welcome to
social
the after
roundtable
party,
went on.
folks.
The
That's
after party
right.
just got
Get the
started.
real
Turn
real right
up.
now. The stuff we didn't say.